Most people don't know this, but Russia is quietly building one of the most ambitious infrastructure networks in modern history, worth over $1.5 trillion. This isn't just about roads and rails. It's about reshaping global trade, bypassing sanctions, and redrawing the map of Eurasia. If you want to understand how this massive plan could impact global logistics, energy flows, and geopolitics, stick around. And while you're here, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss our deep dives into global game changers. Now, Russia's $1.5 trillion infrastructure initiative is more than a domestic upgrade. It's a strategic move to pivot eastward, strengthen ties with Asia, and reduce reliance on the West. This plan encompasses expansive projects in transportation, energy, and logistics, aiming to transform Russia into a central hub connecting Europe and Asia. Today, we shall look at all these projects together. At the heart of Russia's infrastructure revolution lies the Eurasian Transport Network, a sprawling initiative composed of new highways, railways, and trade corridors designed to seamlessly link Russia with its Asian neighbors. The vision is simple yet powerful. Turn Russia into a transit superhighway between East and West. Some of the projects under the Eurasian Transport Network include: Number 1. The Meridian Highway. One of the most talked about projects is the Meridian Highway, a 2,000-kilometer toll road slicing across Russia's vast expanse. This road is a game changer. Once completed, it will offer an overland route from western China to Europe, cutting cargo travel time by more than half compared to traditional maritime routes. Let's put this into perspective. Shipping goods from Shanghai to Hamburg by sea typically takes anywhere from 30 to 50 days, depending on the route and delays. With the Meridian Highway, that journey could take as little as 11 days. That's not just faster, it's revolutionary. In today's fast-paced economy, where companies are racing to deliver products quickly and efficiently, every day counts. Russia is offering a faster, more direct lane to Europe's markets and positioning itself as the toll gate everyone must pass through. But the Meridian Highway isn't just about trucks and travel times. It's a powerful geopolitical statement. By owning the key overland route from China to Europe, Russia puts itself back in the global logistics spotlight. It becomes indispensable in a supply chain currently dominated by sea-based trade routes like the Suez Canal and Strait of Malacca, both vulnerable to geopolitical choke points. Russia's vision extends far beyond just one highway. The broader Eurasian Corridor includes a mix of multimodal transportation rail lines, ports and logistics hubs that interconnect trade from Kazakhstan and Central Asia to Belarus and Eastern Europe. These routes are being coordinated with China's massive Belt and Road Initiative, which aims to recreate the ancient Silk Road through modern infrastructure. Russia's strategic location gives it a unique advantage. Unlike countries that only serve as end destinations, Russia is in the middle of it all, geographically poised to be a bridge between the East and the West. And with sanctions severing many traditional trade ties with the EU and US, the Kremlin is now doubling down on its eastern flank. While highways offer speed, railways offer capacity, and Russia is heavily investing in both. The country is modernizing its entire rail infrastructure to serve as a central cog in the Eurasian supply chain. Number 2. High-speed rail between Moscow and St. Petersburg. One of the landmark projects is the proposed Moscow-St. Petersburg high-speed railway, estimated at $26 billion. Once completed, this line will cut travel times between Russia's two most influential cities from about 4 to 5 hours down to just 2 to 2.5 hours. This isn't just about passenger convenience. It's about connecting political and economic powerhouses to form a stronger, faster internal network. More than a domestic project, it symbolizes Russia's broader push toward modernization. By developing high-speed rail capabilities, Russia hopes to emulate the efficiency of China's vast bullet train system, boosting internal mobility, tourism, and economic activity between major urban centers. But the real strategic gem in Russia's railway ambitions is the International North-South Transport Corridor, or INSTC. This transcontinental trade route links Russia to Iran and India, bypassing the traditional sea-based route that goes through the Suez Canal. It offers an overland alternative that is faster, cheaper, and most importantly, less vulnerable to Western naval influence. Here's how it works. Goods can move by rail from Western Russia to the Caspian Sea, then be transferred by ship to northern Iran, and finally continue by rail or road to Mumbai, India. It's a complex but extremely effective route, and one that's gaining attention as more countries seek to diversify their trade partners. Russia has already begun restoring key segments of this route, including the Rasht-Astara rail line on the Iran-Azerbaijan border, a critical link to completing the full corridor. This route doesn't just allow for smoother trade with India and Iran, it provides a vital economic lifeline that bypasses the bottlenecks of maritime shipping and the geopolitics of Western-controlled straits. What's more, this corridor aligns perfectly with Iran and India's goals of boosting regional trade and reducing reliance on Western-dominated logistics chains. It's a mutual benefit, and Russia is at the center of it all. Russia's focus isn't only on transporting people, it's putting major emphasis on freight capacity. Russia's focus isn't only on transporting people, it's putting major emphasis on freight capacity. The government is upgrading major cargo railways like the Trans-Siberian Railway and the Baikal-Amur Main Line, BAM. These two corridors are undergoing extensive modernization to handle increased traffic from China, Mongolia and Central Asia, with faster loading systems, new locomotives and updated digital logistics. Together, these upgrades form the steel backbone of Russia's Eurasian strategy. Railways offer cost-effective, high-volume transport overland, which is vital as the Kremlin looks to move billions of dollars worth of goods across thousands of kilometers. Russia's infrastructure blitz is not only about roads and railways, it's about redrawing the global map of influence. While Western nations have isolated Moscow through sanctions and diplomatic freeze-outs, Russia is responding not with retreat, but with recalibration. Its pivot to the east is as much a geopolitical strategy as it is an economic one. Number 3, the Ice Silk Road. One of the most transformative pieces in Russia's eastward strategy is the development of the Northern Sea route. This Arctic maritime path, once considered too perilous for regular navigation, is now becoming more viable due to climate change and melting ice caps. Though controversial, the shrinking ice sheet has opened a gateway that could shave thousands of kilometers off traditional shipping routes between Asia and Europe. Dubbed the Ice Silk Road, this initiative is being developed in partnership with China. While Russia provides Arctic access, China brings in investments and logistical expertise. Unlike the Suez Canal or Panama Canal, both choke points vulnerable to political instability, the Northern Sea route promises fewer bottlenecks and shorter delivery times. Ships sailing from Shanghai to Rotterdam via the Northern Sea route could cut travel times by 40% compared to the Suez route. What makes the Ice Silk Road even more strategic is its integration with Russia's growing Arctic energy projects, such as the Yamal and Arctic LNG-2 plants. This allows Russia to not only transport goods, but also export energy directly to Asian markets via its northern coast, bypassing European ports altogether. Now let's talk about China's deepening involvement in all these projects. Beijing's support in this vast infrastructure vision goes far beyond Arctic cooperation. Through China's Belt and Road Initiative, the two countries have found increasing alignment in logistics, trade and resource development. Chinese firms are now investing in rail lines, highways, ports and energy projects across Russia's vast interior and frozen frontiers. What makes the Ice Silk Road even more strategic is its integration with Russia's growing Arctic energy projects, such as the Yamal and Arctic LNG-2 plants. This allows Russia to not only transport goods, but also export energy directly to Asian markets via its northern coast, bypassing European ports altogether. Now let's talk about China's deepening involvement in all these projects. The Meridian Highway, for example, is reportedly co-financed by a consortium involving Chinese investors. Meanwhile, state-owned Chinese oil and gas companies such as CNPC and CNOOC hold stakes in Russian LNG ventures, offering long-term supply security to China, while cushioning Russia from Western divestment. But this deepening cooperation raises an important question. Is this a strategic alliance, or is Russia increasingly dependent on China? While both sides call it a no-limits partnership, analysts note that China holds more economic leverage, especially in price negotiations over future pipeline deals like Power of Siberia 2. Nevertheless, Moscow seems willing to make these compromises to avoid returning to the economic orbit of Europe and the US. The long-term strategy appears to be about creating a new axis of trade and influence, one that spans from Eastern Europe to the South China Sea. We also have India and Iran involvements. Let's talk about it for a moment. While China takes center stage in Russia's eastward ambitions, India and Iran are also crucial partners in Moscow's global recalibration. The International North-South Transport Corridor, INSTC, a sprawling 7,200-kilometer network of railways, highways and sea routes, aims to connect Russia with India via Iran and the Caspian Sea. This corridor is being designed to bypass the traditional maritime routes dominated by Western naval power, such as the Suez Canal and the Strait of Malacca. When fully operational, it could reduce shipping times between Moscow and Mumbai by up to 40%, offering a viable alternative to sea freight and placing Russia at the logistical heart of Eurasia. The Rasht-Astara railway line, currently under construction in Iran with Russian backing, is a key link in this chain. Once completed, it will enable uninterrupted cargo movement from Russia to the Indian Ocean. This not only enhances trade, but also strengthens geopolitical cooperation among Russia, Iran and India, three nations with vested interests in counterbalancing Western dominance in global affairs. Beyond physical infrastructure, Russia is also investing in digital corridors and communication networks to reduce its dependence on Western technology. With companies like Huawei providing support, there is a push to develop independent internet infrastructure, secure data centers and 5G networks, particularly in remote and strategic areas such as the Arctic and Siberia. The idea is to integrate physical infrastructure with digital frameworks, enabling seamless logistics, trade analytics and smart city developments in previously underdeveloped regions. Russia's State Commission on Digital Development has earmarked over 400 billion rubles, around $4.5 billion, towards such projects between 2023 and 2026. Can Russia actually deliver? Let's look at challenges and risks. Despite the grand scale of these projects, serious challenges remain. One of the most pressing is financing. While Russia has significantly increased its 2025 budget to over 41.5 trillion rubles, experts warn that sustained investment at this level may not be feasible in the long term, especially as military expenses continue to rise amid the ongoing war in Ukraine. Moreover, the technological isolation caused by Western sanctions has made it difficult for Russia to import advanced equipment, particularly for high-speed rail and LNG facilities. Although China can fill some of these gaps, Russian industries may still struggle with low efficiency, aging infrastructure and bureaucratic corruption. Another concern is demographic decline. Many of the regions where Russia plans to build new infrastructure, like Siberia and the Arctic, are facing shrinking populations, making labor availability and economic sustainability long-term issues. On the domestic front, however, the infrastructure blitz promises to revitalize Russia's interior, especially the neglected Siberian and Far Eastern regions. These areas are rich in resources but have historically suffered from poor connectivity and underinvestment. Projects like the Baikal-Amur mainline railway expansion and upgrades to the Trans-Siberian Railway are expected to create new economic zones, attract private investment, and provide employment opportunities. This internal connectivity is not just about economics, it's about nation-building, reasserting Moscow's control over its vast territories. The Kremlin is also pitching these developments as part of a patriotic revival, encouraging young professionals and skilled workers to move eastward and participate in building the next chapter of the Russian state. Taken together, Russia's infrastructure strategy is a clear signal that the country is preparing for a long-term geopolitical shift. By building railways, pipelines, highways and ports that orient east and south, Russia is attempting to insulate itself from the Western economic order. At the same time, it's betting on the rise of a multipolar world where global power is more evenly distributed among emerging economies like China, India and Iran, rather than concentrated in the hands of the EU. Russia wants to be more than just a land bridge between East and West. It wants to be a center of gravity, a gateway, a broker and a producer in a newly connected Eurasia. Russia's $1.5 trillion infrastructure investment is not just a reactive policy, it's a forward-looking strategy. In bypassing the West, Moscow is redrawing its economic map, fostering new alliances and betting big on the East. It's a gamble, yes, but one backed by pipelines, railways, highways and ports, and by a vision of a world no longer defined by Atlantic powers alone. Whether this vision succeeds will depend not only on engineering and funding, but on diplomacy, technology, and the unpredictable forces of global politics. Thanks for watching. If this breakdown gave you a deeper insight into how global power is shifting before our eyes, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content that connects the dots on geopolitics and global strategy.